Now let's briefly talk about passwords, and we can drop down into a shell here. And I say briefly because there's a lot of password hunting that can be done, but we're going to be able to automate that, as you're going to see in the upcoming tools lesson, and you're going to be able to see in the password hunting section of the course. But we have to think about passwords being in files. Now, from a pure pen test perspective, I see passwords in files all the time. If I get onto a user computer or I get into some kind of share drive, people just store passwords in files. It's what they do. But this could mean more than just that. We could be talking about the SAM file, which would store our hashes on Windows, if there's a backup of that laying around, or something called unattend.xml, which is used sometimes and stores passwords. We talk about Wi-Fi passwords. Think about somebody taking their computer home, getting on their network, using the same password that they use for their Wi-Fi at home, and then using that as their work credentials or something along those lines. So there's passwords that are stored in clear text for Wi-Fi. There's a lot of things that are out there where passwords could be stored. Passwords could also be stored in the registry. And I'll show you some of these things, and we'll do a quick overview of kind of what we're looking for and how it works. And then we're going to look in the tools section, see how that works when it's automated and do a lot of this legwork for us. Then we'll see how it comes all together later on when we actually exploit this and we see how passwords can be dangerous. But from a pure password perspective, super common, at least in real pen testing, and something to always look for when we're talking about this capture the flag style priv-esque environment. So I'm here in this inet serve, and we can do a quick find string. So we could say something like find string, and we do a /si, and we're just going to search for maybe the phrase password, and we can search for that in just .txt, for example, and this is going to find nothing. We could go back a directory, so it's only searching in the directory. We could go back one directory to system32, and maybe I'll just copy this and paste it here. And if we wanted to search more files, we could say something like .ini, .txt, maybe like .config. This will add time to our search, but we could try to hunt these down. Now, while this is going, this might take a minute. As we're looking through the whole system32, we can go ahead and just kind of look at some resources that I actually really like, and we'll go from there. And actually, it just finished pretty quickly here. So you can see what it's trying to do. It's looking for the phrase password, and you can see it comes into play here in this hash tables, and it really doesn't look like it's anything. It just looks like it's a configuration or just a basic .txt. Same thing here. So we're going to find a bunch of these things we might have to sift through, but it's just part of the enumeration process, and somebody might have maybe on their desktop just like password is equal to my password 123 or something along those lines. Or think of like a SQL configuration or a web configuration. That's why we search maybe those .config files to try to look for different passwords that we might be able to use to escalate. Now, those resources, this just comes back to the resources we pointed out in the first section of the course. Here's a clear text password section. Now, if you like to do this the complete manual way, there's a bunch of different ways to do this, right? You can search for the term. You could search in files. Again, this unattend.xml. There's vnc.ini's registry. The payloads, all the things, is more my favorite one to kind of have and look through. So you have the SAM, again, search file contents, all different kinds of cool little things and tricks. And if you really want to scare yourself, you can do the Wi-Fi passwords. That you can show your Wi-Fi passwords here and see the password of your Wi-Fi network in clear text. So I recommend, if you're using the same password as your Wi-Fi, not to do that because it's very easy to pull it down. So with all that being said, this is just a very high level overview. We're going to get into it. As I said already, we're going to get into it in a little bit. So stay tuned for the next few sections of the course as we actually start to dive in and utilize this, and you'll see where these passwords really come into play. So we got one more video in this section. We're going to quickly talk about discovering firewalls and antivirus and how we can determine if they're enabled in a network. So let's go ahead and jump over to that video.